Delighted to be joined today on the Talk from the Terrace show by Japanese-based journalist Dan Orowitz, and I hope I pronounced it correct, Dan. Philadelphia born, but based in Japan. You write for the Japanese Times or the Japan Times, and you've been over there since 2006. So you'll know a lot more about Japanese football than most of my viewers or listeners. Dan, the reason why we're talking is we never heard of each other, and I never heard of Ange, who we've been calling him, but to give him his full title, Ange Postecoglou, and I hope I've pronounced it correctly. We've never heard of him. From Japan, the J-League, we look over there and we see one of our heroes, Shinsuke Nakamura, who came to Scotland from Italy, and we didn't know a hell of a lot about him either, unless you were into Italian football. And he lit up not only Scotland, but some famous nights in Europe. Those free kicks against Man United. He won us a league in Kilmarnock. Some goals he scored against Rangers. He became a hero. And I suppose back then there was eyebrows raised to why are we signing him? And by God, what a player he turned out to be. I believe he's still playing, coming to the end of his career. Dan, before we get into Ange, can we just have a little update on our good friend over there, Nakamura?
Well, I mean, first, Andrew, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to connect with all the Celtic fans, and it's an exciting time for us who cover the J-League and Japanese football. Shinsuke is still at it. He is currently playing with Yokohama FC in the first division, and he just recorded his 400th appearance in the Japanese top flight. It's 400 J1 appearances, which isn't something that happens very often. He hasn't played that often this season. He's got 4 appearances so far. I think he is reaching the end of things. 42 years old. His body isn't what it once was, but he's still got the foot. He's still got the leg, and when he's on target, it is absolutely something to see.
Yeah, there's not many players can open a can of beans with their left foot, and that's what he was described as. But we're here to talk about more serious things than to reminisce. We'll leave Nakamura for the history podcast. Okay, so you're well aware now, I'd imagine, that Eddie Howe we were strung along for 10 weeks. Did Eddie Howe string along the club? We believe he did. Others in the fan base believe that the club got it really wrong. From a personal point of view, if you can't, decide you want to be Celtic manager within a week or two, well, then maybe you're not the man for us, because we look at ourselves as a massive club, which we are historically, but we play in a league where it's a 2-horse race, and second is not good enough, and winning and progression in Europe is where we judge our managers. And Neil Lennon had many critics. He done very well. He had the season from hell last year. Probably hung around too long for his own well-being, because he was replacing Brendan Rodgers, who many fans called a rat when he left, because he left overnight for Leicester. Other fans believe it was a breakdown between him and the board, and in particular the chief executive officer, Peter Lawwell. But for whatever reason, he left. And many of us believe that the club hasn't moved forward since then. So the pressure, whatever manager comes in, is going to be huge. And no disrespect to the J-League, but I heard you, Dan, saying that there's 7 or 8 teams competing each season for that title, which is brilliant for the fans, brilliant for the clubs. But it gave Dan time, it gave Ange, I'm mixing up me Dans and me Anges, it gave Ange time to build a team to win a league. He may not be given that team in Glasgow if he becomes Celtic manager. Firstly, can you just paint a picture of us, a brief picture of the Japanese league and how he's done since he's come there, and where he is in regard of managers within that league?
Well, it is difficult, to compare the J League to the Scottish Premiership. As you say, you are dealing with a 2-horse race with 10 other teams running behind. Here, we have traditionally it's an 18-team top flight. This year we're at 20 because of the pandemic. And it is incredibly competitive. We do have as many as 7 or 8 teams who go into the season with a legitimate shout to finish in first. Usually there's even 1 or 2 wild cards who just come out of nowhere and defy expectations. And on a week-to-week basis, it's a fairly open league. Just no matter who's playing who, you can't take any match for granted. If you want to get into the statistical side of things, there's the website 538, and they have their global football club ranking. And 12 J League teams rank above the 4th place in Scotland, which I believe was Aberdeen. So that's where we're at. And Kawasaki Frontale, who are the defending champions, are about even with Celtic. I think Celtics 101st, Kawasaki was in the 90s, now they're 103rd. So for all intents and purposes, they're about even. So that's the level. We certainly don't have 2 teams who are far and above the best. We don't have a 2-horse race. We've never really had a 2-horse race for more than a season. There's just so much turnover in this league. We have so many young Japanese stars who are going to Europe year after year. We have very difficult demands that are placed upon our top teams because of the Asian Champions League and all of the travel that involves. It's one thing for Celtic to go over and play Manchester United on a Wednesday night. It's another thing for Yokohama F. Marinos to fly to Sydney, play on a Wednesday, fly back, and then play in the J League on a Sunday. I mean, that is, that's an 8-hour flight. You get the same flying to China, to Thailand, when you're getting to the finals, going all the way to Saudi Arabia and back, and we don't get the scheduling considerations that a lot of clubs in the Champions League, in the European Champions League would. So it is tough to compare it one-on-one, and I think that the quality of play in Japan is impressive. It is a very different kind of game from what you will be used to in Scotland. It does rely less on physicality. Our defending is not as good as you will see in some European countries, but the agility, the technique, the skill is pound for pound. I've had this argument on Twitter. The J League being a top 10 league worldwide, not top 5, not even top 6, but somewhere in the lower reaches of the top 10, is absolutely not an unreasonable statement when you look at the depth, when you look at the overall quality from first to last place, when you look at the level of the players that we're bringing up, and when you look at the clubs overall as a whole in terms of their grassroots setup, their academies, their financial picture. So we are playing at a let's say a lower level than Celtic, than Rangers. If you want to average things out, but if you want to compare the league to, say, Belgium, to Portugal, even to Holland, I think Japan can be very proud of the level it stands at.
Now, we want to get the lowdown on Ange, okay? Because he's become known as Ange because the second name is we're struggling with. And as I said, we never heard of him, Dan, until this week. Or maybe some people did. One person connected with Celtic that did know about him was Scott McDonald, because Scott's seen out the end of his career. He's back in Australia, but obviously he was the villain turned hero of Celtic, because he played for Motherwell. We lost the league on the last day of the season, and then he came to us and proved that he could compete at a very high level in the Champions League. Now, he said he never picked me, so obviously he's a bee in his bonnet. But he also said he's a very good coach and a great tactician, which kind of Brendan Rodgers type of there's a kind of compliments that Brendan Rodgers would have received when he came. And I also spoke to Jim Riley, who's a Celtic fan based in Sydney, And Jim's been around a long time and seen a lot of Celtic and seen a lot of Australian football. And I'm just going to read what he sent me. He said he's a decent manager who has won a few things in Australia. He won the Asian Cup. He got Australia to the 2018 World Cup. But being a manager in Australia and Japan would be a cakewalk compared to the Goldfish Bowl of Glasgow and dealing with a media that is biased against Celtic. And you know, some people call us paranoid, but we do believe the media has been biased for over a century against our team. But you're watching this guy, you know, you're watching his team. And when I heard you first, I think it was on Sky News, you had said, you know, this guy is he likes to attack. He's a very attacking, which is very exciting for us. It's the type of football we want to see played. But we've had a shocking defensive record this year. We can't defend a set piece to save our lives. So, although it's great to score goals, but if it's not, you know, happening the other end, if we're not defending straight away, Ange is going to be, if he does come, he's going to be under serious pressure to gap those, you know, to plug that gap in the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that his defensive record at Marinos has been stellar. The first season was a tribulation in some ways. I understand that I keep hearing about this Goldfish Bowl. It sounds like a very nice Goldfish Bowl, but it is.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one, and he is absolutely not going to experience the same environment that he has in Japan. Our media is tame by comparison. Our media is toothless by comparison. Rarely will you have writers, you know, putting out 700-word screeds against a player or a manager. Just sort of not done. It's uncouth. But he has done very well. You know, whenever he is pushed on by the media here to justify his style of play, he has absolutely stood firm, just been unapologetic. It's always about his philosophy, his game plan. This is what it is. I think I said on Sky, there's plan A, and then there's plan B. And you know what plan B is? Plan B is just do plan A better. Which I think some people will take to assume that, well, he has no backup plan. But the reality is that I think that Ange has this vision of this very attractive, very beautiful attacking style of football, and he's looking to figure out how to achieve that. And it may take some tinkering, and I think that we did see that between the 2018 and the 2019 seasons. He had a goalkeeper Ikara, who just wasn't cut out for that sort of sweeper role. Brought in Park, and you saw things really start to improve along the back. It's about making those incremental changes and using the strength of the team's scouting network, especially the resources that they had through City Football Group. And he found just a great selection of players. Didn't reshape the core, but brought in the players that they were clearly missing, and it improved the defense to the point where the offense could carry the day. I don't think you need to go in and say that, well, we need a defense capable of putting up clean sheets game after game. I think you need an offense that will get you that will look at the XG and say, yeah, we're going to meet that or we're going to beat that. And then that momentum can carry the day.
Yeah, well, we hope. And when you say that, I know he got rid of a goalkeeper that couldn't play the sweeper's role. That takes me back to Brendan Rodgers as well, because Brendan done the same. He brought in one of his own goalkeepers, Terrace, to freeze. It didn't work out, and but Craig Gordon, who he kind of put as his number two, he learned pretty quick how to play the system, and you know he became probably a goalkeeper we got rid of maybe too early because he was coming, you know, to the end of his career. But he went to Hearts, and now he's back in the top flight with them. So that's a disappointment. So yeah, that's an interesting fact. Now he's also going to be coming in, Dan, to, you know, we lost a very historical season last season. We were going for 10 titles in a row. Both ourselves and Rangers had we done 9 and firstly, Then they done 9 and we stopped them. And then we done it again. But, we were in the driving seat because as one Scottish comedian put it, it's not a 2-horse race anymore, it's show jumping. That's how far ahead we were of Rangers. And somehow we believe that the board dropped the ball. The people running the club just took their eye off the ball, got complacent, and we now have he will now, if he does come, he will now be employed by a board who the fans do not speak to anymore because they don't trust him. And then from that, we also have a divided fan base who can't agree on a strategy. Do we become shareholders? Do we stay as season book holders? We can't. And we will be divided over the manager. And if he doesn't I remember when Brendan Rodgers came in, we were in Gibraltar. His first game, a beautiful sunny day, playing a team of amateurs or semi-pros, enjoying the cocktails in the sun. Went to the game, a terrible, terrible artificial surface. A bounce of a ball, and we're beating 1-0. And there was only probably 1,000 fans there. It wasn't a big, huge travelling group. And boy, Jesus, 80% of them were rattling, the wire. They were giving out hell and giving us things. Now, Brendan probably knew then, look, I know I can beat this team and back at Celtic Park. But it was a baptism of fire. But Brendan is Irish. He's been based in Britain all his life. He knew what he was coming into. That's what worries me. If Ange does come in, what he's going to face. And I believe that we need to give him time if he comes in. But unfortunately, time isn't on the side of your Celtic manager. Because as I said, being second to Rangers is being last.
I definitely get that sense that everyone agrees with the principle of giving Ange time, but nobody seems to think that time exists. I think that Ange, he's very smart, very, very, very smart, and I would tend to give him the benefit of the doubt in that if he is going for this role, he absolutely knows what he's in for. Certainly, you can't compare the atmosphere that he's worked under in Japan to Scotland to Celtic, not by a long shot. I think he has dealt with slings and arrows during his time in Australia. He was tested by their media when he was in charge of their national team, when he was in the A-League. The media down there is not necessarily football friendly, and even the ones who are football friendly, they can't seem to really get on the same page most of the time. So that the sport is very much developing there and fighting itself in addition to fighting off cricket and Aussie rules and rugby. So it's a very he's been raised in a very unique environment, but I think that the style of football that his teams play speaks for itself. And inevitably, if he goes into it and is able to tune everything out, because I think that that's sort of what you have to do. I don't think that you can attach at this point in his position, I'm not sure that you can attach yourself to the fan base and deal with that in addition to revitalizing the team. I just think you have to tune everything out, put on the blinders, and focus on what's on the pitch. And he's very good at that. You see that from how he operates at press conferences. As I said before, he is just unapologetic about how he plays. He makes no excuses when the team doesn't do well. He takes responsibility when they have a bad result, and he is absolutely willing to say that when his players don't live up to his standard. And I think that's what you guys need right now. I think you need someone who's able to call it as it is. And it may even be better to have someone who is considered an outsider to come in and shake things up. Because from everything that I've heard about the club, it sounds like that Celtic needs a shakeup.
we certainly do. And if he's coming, tell him to bring a magic wand and some magic dust, because we've got an almighty task on our hands to qualify for the Champions League. We go in as non-champions. We the likes of Galatasaray. I think Austria Vienna. Does and a team in Denmark. So that's normally when we go into the Champions League, we get a warm-up game. We're playing maybe the Icelandic champions, or as I said, we went to Gibraltar, Luxembourg, real minnow countries. But it's going to be like Liam Kelly, one of the lads that writes for us. I think he hit the nail on the head. He says if we get through these three games as unseeded to qualify for the Champions League, he says we should be looking at winning it, because that's how hard it is. It's probably going to be harder to get through than it would be maybe to compete in the group, which there is. And what's happening over here now is the elite clubs are getting the bandwidth now is getting wider. You've got the elite clubs playing in the bigger leagues, and that's a problem, you see, because the English league and English supporters look down their nose towards the Scottish league, and sometimes English players come up from the English league, as this season with Shane Duffy with us, Joey Barton with Rangers a couple of years. They come up and they think they're going to shake up this league because they played at a higher standard, and they don't realise the tempo of the game, the pressures that comes with playing for either club, and they fall on their ass. Now, when we compete against English teams, Man City, we two great battles with Man City in recent years under Brendan, and going back further, we beat Blackburn, we beat Liverpool, we've beaten Man United. We've tended to, do ourselves proud when we come up against English teams, but they seem to look down their nose. And you also get the debate, it's a one-off game, you wouldn't, blah, blah, blah. And I think we are guilty as Celtic fans, looking towards Japan and looking towards Australia, and maybe, especially Japan, and maybe looking down our nose on that league when we shouldn't be, because you've explained that it's a competitive league. And because we are not watching it day in, day out, which you are, following the league. So I do think there's a bit of that within the support. Had he been managing an English team and having the success he's having over in Asia, we'd probably be jumping through hoops to get him. But we're probably a bit snobby about this one, and that could prove to be a bad decision on our behalf, because if he loses a game or two, we'd be torn on. But we go back to 1998 when we stopped the 10, and a manager came in called Wim Jansen. Now, we knew Wim was a very famous Dutch player, but when he came in, he'd no pre-season because he came in late. He had a terrible start to the season, but he turned it around. He won the League Cup. He done a double. He won the League Cup, and the ultimate last day of the season, he stopped the 10, and he moved on then. But he was a hero, and he still is a hero. And if this man can come from Japan and come into Glasgow and do that, well, and when we're sitting here next year, if we're champions, your words will be ringing in my ear, because you were the one that told me, Ange is the man. And do you think he's going to come? What are you hearing over there? Because Celtic are very, very quiet over here because of what happened with the Eddie Howe negotiations. So we are getting, the only thing that's coming out of Celtic at the moment is an invite to the women's team press conference, because that's a good bit of news this week, because if they win on Sunday against Motherwell, well, they qualify for the Champions League, and that's a great achievement by the girls. So that's the only thing we're getting. We're getting, we don't even know who's in control of the football matters at the club. We presume it's John Kennedy, the interim manager, and his backroom team. But as yet, I've emailed Celtic, I've called them, and as yet, the only correspondence I'm getting them is about the women's league. So unfortunately, we're not. But over there, you are probably getting some news coming from his Japanese club.
Well, right now, as of this recording, and here it is late on Thursday afternoon, June the 3rd. We have not heard anything from Marinos. They are, I mean, Japanese clubs, when it comes to transfer rumors, especially when it comes to coaches leaving, they are amazingly good at keeping things pretty close to the vest. And part of that is just because of the relationship that they have with our mass media. And another part of it is that given the conditions with the state of emergency, they can get away with not communicating with us, especially right now because we're on an international match week, and Marinos' next game will be in Sapporo on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, in a League Cup playoff game. So I am apt to think I hesitate to say guess, but my belief is that I don't think that they want to put off a decision until that game. I think that I was the one who asked Ange about the reports on Sunday. I don't think they want to have someone ask about it for a second weekend in a row. That becomes a distraction to the club. I think that they have a lot on their plate. They have to figure out who's going to replace him in the short term and the long term. They're probably working out details with Celtic in terms of a payment just for his breach of contract. They're probably working on the farewell merchandise. That's going to come out, and I'm sure that the club farewell merchandise. Oh yeah. Thank you, boss. Guarantee it. There's going to be T-shirts. There's going to be the towels. There's going to be a commemorative uniform. There's going to be the commemorative photo frame and keychain, the mug, the beer. The I promise you, I will send you a T-shirt.
I look forward to receiving it.
You know what? If you want to trade, I'll get you the thank you boss scarf, and you can send me a Celtic scarf.
I'll send you over a box of goodies.
Deal. No, that absolutely. Please, they put out.
If that happened in Glasgow, if that happened in Glasgow after Neil Lennon left or Brendan Rodgers left, the windows of the Superstore would have been put in.
Well, no, I mean, but again, I think that illustrates what a different atmosphere we're in. Players get merch for their 100th J1 game, for 200th, 300th, 400th.
I can understand that.
Yeah, but no, thank you, boss, because you know what? He got them their first title in 15 years, and he damn well deserves it. They should put up, if he'd gotten a second title, they would put up a statue of him at Nissan Stadium. And he would have earned it. He is, it doesn't take much to leave a legacy here, but he has gone above and beyond, not just in terms of the title, but in terms of what he has done to create a positive image surrounding the club and to establish a vision. And I think that whoever comes after Ange is going to have a very difficult time filling his shoes, because this is an organization that is built around executing his vision on the pitch. And it is incredibly difficult as a foreign manager to come to Japan and have that happen. Normally, if you're a foreign coach and you come here, they may be riding on your expertise and your CV, but you are expected to follow what the front office wants in terms of transfer policy, in terms of having a budget. You do have to step in line a bit, but that isn't what's happened in Yokohama. The organization has helped him get what he wants in terms of player targets, in terms of the kind of players he's looking for, in terms of just everything, in terms of the training environment. And it does take someone, you do have to do a lot to get that situation. And I think part of it is because of the influence of CFG. They do have, it's close to a 20% stake in Marinos. But part of it is also that, he's got this I hesitate to call it a magnetic personality, because he can be quite gruff at times, but he makes you want to believe in him. And the club did, and they were rewarded for it. You saw that after 2018. Some fans were nervous, but nobody decided, well, we're gonna like. No, he never lost the locker room, and he never lost the stands. And
what way does the structure work there, Dan? Just before we wrap up, what way does the structure work over there? Does he have a director of football? You know, did he bring his own backroom team in? Did he inherit some? Did he have a, you know, a kind of a one of the Japanese coaches in the dugout with him as well? Because, like, ideally, if he was coming to, you know, Celtic, because we don't have a director of football at the moment, we don't have a chief scout because he's left. Nick Hammond has left. So we'd be kind of looking, you know, it looks like we will have a director or a sporting director or a director of some kind of football matters. That's what the rumour is, but it's possible at the moment at Celtic. But, you know, when Brendan was there and Martin O'Neill and Gordon Strachan, they always had the back rooms. They always brought out trusted lieutenants in. But, you know, there was, you know, Gordon Strachan and Tommy Bones, Martin O'Neill and Tommy Bones to start. They always had someone, you know, who knew the club with them, especially for the fourth season, which I presume that if he does come in, that would be part of it. But we've been very critical when Neil took the job. He was given a backroom team, and, you know, I think that when the shit hit the fan this season, that maybe he didn't have someone in that dressing room that he could trust. So would be expecting if Ange came, he would bring his backroom team with him, which is also a big thing for the club, for his Japanese club. But has he got his own Australian, you know, coaching setup with him?
Yeah, it's mostly Australian and non-Japanese coaches. They have interpreters on the staff. They have an English language interpreter. They have a Portuguese interpreter for the Brazilian players. They have a Thai interpreter for their Thai defender. I'm pretty sure they had a Korean interpreter at some point for Park, although maybe one of the English interpreters doubled it up. We are very used to non-Japanese managers coming in, and you will see a couple people on the touchline shouting instructions. In fact, a few years ago, they actually banned interpreters from the touchline, so it is just Ange out there, but he knows how to communicate with his players, and you see that in the relationship he has with them and the fact that they are willing to fight for him. I would expect that he is not going to agree to this job unless he is given the conditions that he thinks he needs to succeed. And I imagine as part of that he will get his backroom staff. He does have, you know, a full complement. I believe Marinos have a director of football or a sporting director. We have 2 or 3 different words in Japanese that's essentially refer to that sort of position, and they do have a great scouting team there that's in part backed by CFG. So they have all the resources that they need to get players who you sort of wouldn't expect, and yet they come in and perform really well. You especially see that in the quality of their Brazilian players, which we refer to it as sort of the Brazilian capsule machine, where you put in the coin and you spin the thing and you don't know what's going to come out. Either you've got a winner and he's going to score 10 goals and get you 15 assists, or you've got a loser and you just throw it out and pick someone else up in the offseason. But Marinos have gotten a bunch of winners. Marcos Jr., who is their main man up front, he's a gem. They have managed to do very well through loans and through getting these sort of relative unknowns from Brazil and bringing them into the system. And that is a skill in a league where mediocre Brazilians are unfortunately sort of the norm. So I would expect that he will come to Glasgow with his backroom staff, and probably I know it's come up on your site, but probably a list of players that he might be interested in. bringing over from Japan. I don't know how well that's going to work out.
That was my next question. Who's the who's the who would he be looking to bring?
Well, I was about to congratulate you guys for making actually one of the noted sports tabloids here picked up that story about the 3 players. So, whew. Yeah, 64 Hail Hail is out there. It is being cited in Japanese media. It is, that is going to become an issue of its own this summer, because I think when the Celtic fan sites are going to start speculating.
But we don't speculate.
You don't speculate.
No, we try not to. We try to stick away from the tabloid type stuff.
But I think there will be some.
I'm expecting you to call me and give me concrete evidence.
Okay, but what's going to happen is that stuff's going to be published over there, and then Japanese media here, who can't really tell the difference between discussion between bullshit and not, are going to translate it in good faith, and then Sky is going to report on Japanese newspapers reporting on the cycle has begun. Welcome to silly season. Japanese silly season is a thing of beauty and of horror, but it is it's going to be fun, and I think that there are legitimately several players who I think are going to be good candidates for to be poached. I wouldn't say poached. Well, I guess yes, poached. It's going to be Daisen Maeda is a name who's come up. He plays for Marinos. He is likely going to be a selection for the Olympic team. He looks like he was meant to wear hoops, I gotta say. He's 23.
Give me that name again. Give me that name again.
Daisen Maeda.
He doesn't sound that he's a Japanese or an Australian. Is he German? Is he of German?
No, he is Japanese. Here, let me. I can even. I can't share with you right now, but I will post a link to what he looks like.
Send me something more, and we'll have a look at him. I'm having nightmares when you mention Brazilian players, and I'm happy that some of them work out, because Janino didn't work out for us. We had him for a season, but he had a thankless task of coming in following Henrik Larsson as the number 7. But we also had a defender called Rafael Schei, and he was Schei by name and Schei by nature. And Martin O'Neill wasn't long running him. He was signed under the disappointing reign of John Barnes. So I'm gonna leave our interview with that thought, with Schei by name and Schei by nature.
I would certainly not recommend Japanese defenders are maybe not quite at the level of physicality that you need in Scotland. You need someone like Hiroki Sakai, who's played at Marseille for a few years, and he's coming back to Japan this summer. I think you need the players like him, like Yuto Nagatomo. Defenders we are working on defenders. We're great at making midfielders. We're getting there on strikers, wingers, no problem. Backs, we're working on it. Center backs, it really depends. We have height issues in Japan, but we still have some quality players. You look at Maya Yoshida, who's been playing in Europe forever and a day. I forget what year he moved to Southampton, and now he's in Italy these days, I believe. But he still he's still got it, and he's still got 1 or 2 World Cups left in him. I think that if you're looking for attackers, if you're looking at midfielders, if you want a bargain, you can do far worse than the J League. You can do far worse than some of the Japanese players who are already in Europe and might have an easier time getting that work permit, which I've heard is possibly this. I don't know if the standard for Scotland is the same as in England, but that's something we've been discussing among us over the last few days.
Well, Dan, if you hear anything over there, don't forget to let us know. Drop us a text, and we'll all get following you on Twitter. I'll put your details up in the description. Just all I can say is thank you very much, and maybe we'll meet one day in Japan or maybe in Philadelphia. Who knows?
Maybe over there. You know,
You might come to Scotland.
I was supposed to. We had talked about it. My wife and I went to London a couple of years ago for our delayed honeymoon, and Scotland was sort of a maybe itinerary, and it just didn't work out. And it's a dream. I've wanted to go over there and experience a game for a long time, but right now it's not happening in the near term.
No, that's true.
It is. I'm banking vacation days like you wouldn't believe. And once this is all over, I just want to spend a month in Europe ground hopping and watching from the stands. And I look forward to seeing Ange work from the stands and not having to worry about what I'm going to ask him in the post-match press conference. I've done my time. It's not an easy job, and good luck to all the media in Scotland who have that unenviable task.
No, I prefer a point with the lads in the pub to dissect the game than having to go into post match.
Yeah, you know what? I don't blame you. Just to wrap things up, it has been a joy to watch his football take root in the J League and to see him accomplish this. His success is our success as the Japanese football community. It's our success as the Asian football community, and hopefully it'll be Celtic's success. And
time will tell, Dan, if he's going to come or not. And if you do come to Glasgow, look me up, and I'll sort you out with a couple of tickets. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect. I absolutely appreciate it. Won't wear, I guess, well, this is dark enough blue. I think that's the thing. Got to watch out. Forgive the Marinos fans for their blue uniforms. They know not what they do. I've been told that there was talk of some Marinos and Celtic fans making a split scarf, and they decided that wouldn't go over well.
Half and half.
No, can't do that. I you know what? I collect weird half and half scarves as part of my massive collection, but that's one that I'm sure will never come into being.
With the way football is going these days, maybe part of the deal, if he does come, will be that Celtic will have to play them in a friendly. So
you know what?
Who knows? There might be a half and half scarf.
Ange's Celtic against Marinos here in Yokohama at Nissan. That would be a fantastic night. You look at how well they did against Manchester City a couple years back. Yes, it's a friendly, but it's quality. When two quality teams play each other, doesn't matter who's on the pitch. You can tell the quality, and
certainly can. Well, hopefully we're getting out of the way days to Japan. I'm sure the lads will be rubbing their hands going, just tell the missus I'm going to football, or the missus will tell the lads I'm going to football, and we'll all head off to Japan for it.
You know what? I not the same sport, but I covered the Rugby World Cup here a couple years back. Scotland fans were amazing. It was such an incredible experience. That was my first time ever covering anything rugby related, and I followed that tournament from start to finish. And it was such a pleasure to have such dedicated sports fans over here. And I don't know if there's sort of the code wars, between things.
Well, in Ireland, I can only speak because I'm based in Ireland. Rugby would certainly be played by the upper classes especially in the province I'm in, which is Leinster, and football would be more of a working class. But over here, we've also got like in Australia with the Aussie rules, we've also got the GAA.
Mm-hmm.
which is Gaelic football and hurling, and that's the big thing over here. So,
Yeah, that's a game. That's a game I know nothing about. You could put a gun to my head, and I wouldn't be able to tell you any.
Well, if you ever get a chance to go to watch a hurling match, go to it, because it'll be the greatest spectacle. Jackie McNamara was the Celtic captain, and he was over doing a charity event for us, and he went to the All Ireland final, hurling final, and the next day he said to me, I can't believe that those people don't get paid. The players don't get paid. He couldn't believe it, because 80,000 in the stadium and a wonderful game with a stick. That's the way he described it. But
Man, 80,000 in the stadium. That sure sounds nice, doesn't it?
That's Croke Park. Yeah, and if you ever get to Ireland, you definitely check out a hurling game.
I'd love to. My folks have been there before. I haven't made it out yet, but European tour, I'm there for it. I will meet you anywhere, and
no problem. You're welcome anytime. You can come into the studio here as well and have a chat with us if you're passing by.
And I hope look, any Celtic fans listening to this, once you're allowed to travel to Japan again, there's a pretty decent Celtic supporter group here in Tokyo, and
that's correct.
We're all about come to a J League game. I promise you. We can get into this another. This is another conversation altogether. But the best, one of the best match day atmospheres and experiences in the world. And I've seen quite a few, and I say that with confidence. We are very proud of our league, and we have amazing football, amazing food, just amazing fans, and it's like nothing else you'll ever see.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for giving us not only an insight into Ange, who you speak very well about, I have to say. He's obviously made a big impression on you and Japanese football. But also, thanks for giving us an insight into Japanese football. It's been a pleasure to chat to you, and hopefully it won't be the last time. Thank you very much.
Anytime. I hope I've managed to calm your fears a little.
You have indeed. And folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and we'll also have it out on audio on the podcast, on the Celtic Soul podcast. So thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. And thank you, Dan.